So good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining into this session of DQ Labs Meet the Toppers. All right. So I'm going to yeah. So in this session, we are going to cover a few things. So the learning. So when I talk about DQ Labs Toppers, we're going to be talking to DQ Labs Toppers from across the board. That is design, fashion, architecture, and urban design. So all of those. All right. And and what is generally covered in this is, what makes that school, what's the learning environment like that makes these top schools a primary choice for every aspirant, right? um, then we'll go into the faculty, we'll get into the resources that they have, the industry interactions that they have, and some of the projects they've done as well. So we have a fantastic panel here of our CEPT toppers, the previous year CEPT toppers. We have, some of them are in already, some of them may join in a little while. So Adriel and Spurti Shiv and Shriyan Saxena and Arva are from the Bachelor of Design program. Then we have Ananya Goidani and Urvisha Goswami, Dheeraj Podar, and Leah Kuruvilla. And they are from the Bachelor of Architecture program. And then we have Denisa Joel, who's from the Bachelor of Urban Design program, right? So we're going to go straight into this talk. So if you guys can switch your cameras on, that would be great. Yeah. Right. So thanks for joining in, and it's really nice to have all of you all here and back again, and this time you all are on the other side, and that's an interesting place to be, right? Because a couple of years ago, y'all would have been on this side watching the previous year's toppers before y'all, and now y'all on this side. So how does that overall feel? This is an open question to anyone. Anyone can take this up. How does it feel to be on the other side right now? Maybe Leah, you could tell us your feeling.
Yeah, sure. So I remember in just getting into 11th grade, I was filled with anxiety. Like those were two extremely anxious years of my life. But then once you get into college, it's extremely validating that all your hard work has paid off and, everything you've worked for has kind of come into fruition. So it's very like enriching and it makes you very happy to see all this. So I think, yeah, working hard in those 2 years are quite important and it can lead to great things.
Yep, absolutely. Now we're going to go into some of the questions that people have on their mind. So for the audience here, y'all could maybe y'all could start asking your questions right away. But before y'all, while y'all are asking your questions, we'll get into a little conversation with the students here. So if y'all could give us an idea of, like the program structures. Now, some of y'all are from B.Des, some of y'all are from B.Arch, all right? But the unique thing about CEPT is that all of y'all are together in the first year or two, right? So y'all would be bringing in different perspectives. So how do you see is the difference between, say, B.Arch and B.Des programs fundamentally? So maybe if Dheeraj can talk about the B.Arch program, how it's structured, and maybe Arwa could talk about the B.Des program. Yeah. So Dheeraj, you can start off.
If you are doing a comparison between a B.Arch and B.Des, so the basic concept, the basic fundamental itself is very different. So in B.Arch, so the name itself suggests bachelor's in architecture. So in which you are taught how to design a building, how to make blueprints, how to make plan sections. So it all revolves around building spaces, structures. But in B.Des, so as the name suggests, bachelor's in design. So that is also divided into two parts. Currently, in our college, there were two options, interior designing and product designing, but they've closed the interior design department. Only the product design department is still active. So the name product design suggests you are designing a product. A product can be anything. So that scale, that all is different. So that is the basic difference between bachelor's in architecture and B.Des.
All right, all right. Right. So since you are in the second year and pretty much everyone else is in the first year, is that correct? Yeah. All right. Just one second. Right. So being in the second year, you may have a little more perspective on the structure of the program, right? But looking back, Dheeraj, what made you choose B.Arch, right? So there's a a whole lot of students who are coming getting into the B.Arch program or aspiring to get in the B.Arch program. So what made you choose B.Arch in the first place? Architecture.
So architecture, I feel like architecture is a field which is slowly being known to people. So earlier, as we know that computer science was a field which was not very well known. But now a time has come where a lot of people know about computer science. So similarly for architecture, earlier people don't used to know about it a lot, but slowly these fields are emerging. Designing field is emerging because as people are getting educated, people are more design conscious. So the demand for designers are also increasing. So the same way the demand for architects, interior designers, everything is increasing. So why did I choose architecture? So it was something of my interest. So I didn't wanted to go into a field where I have to just sit for hours and read books and work. I wanted a dynamic field where I can travel a lot. I was very fond of looking at structures, visiting places. And since I guess 10th, I started visiting some of the construction sites near my area. My father was also somewhat involved into this field. I used to go with them, had some site visit, talk to people, architects. So slowly, I started developing my interest in this field. Then after proper research, I found like this is the field in which I could give my 100% as compared to any other field like engineering and medical. So this is how I landed into architecture.
Awesome, awesome. I'd like to welcome Denisa as well. So Denisa, good morning. Good to have you
Good
around.
morning, sir.
And Denisa, you selected urban design, right? So what made you choose urban design? And what is urban design all about?
I mean, urban design is similar to architecture, but it's not the same. It varies in scale. So architecture focuses on buildings, of course. Urban design is more on a larger level, larger scale. You focus on design of public areas and development of them and all that. So I mean, I chose the field because it's more for, maybe you can say, for the people also, and it also has a lot of scope right now. Maybe, I mean, it is similar to architecture, but it is very different. So I wanted to learn more about
All
how
right.
good it could be, maybe like.
All right, all right. So if I have to put that into perspective, you mentioned a very important aspect that it's all about scale, right? So when we look at urban design, you're looking at the whole city as a scale. When
Yes.
you're looking at architecture, you're looking at buildings as a scale. And when you're looking at interior design, you're looking at just the interior scale, right?
Yes.
So mindsets have to be altered to match all these three. Right?
Exactly. And there's this
you start looking at cities differently. You start, more thinking more about the people. And of course, right now, since I'm in the first year, I just know this much about urban design. There's so much more to learn. So, I mean, I'll be able to answer that question better maybe next year.
Awesome, awesome. That's great. Um, right. So we've covered the differences between architecture and design and fashion. Design and urban design. All right. So let's get into the next aspect of it. All right. The aspect is on why CEPT. What makes CEPT, right? So that's the idea. So Ananya, if you could probably take this question. So what made you choose CEPT over, all the other schools? Because pretty much all of y'all could have chosen any school that y'all wanted to, right? You got great ranks and you could have chosen, but why did you choose CEPT? What made CEPT important to you?
So, admittedly, when I came to CEPT, I didn't know that much about it. All I knew was mainly one, its prestige in the architecture world, in India especially. What I know about CEPT now will make me recommend it to probably any aspiring architect. One, we have a lot of webinars and talks, and exposure over here is way more than any other college I've seen. That's one. And it's just that everyone's point of thinking over here, it's not the main thing that our professors keep saying again and again is that there's nothing that's a wrong answer. Everything is a right answer that needs to be implemented in different ways. So just the freedom to think, and it's an environment that it fosters iterative learning because you do not have a textbook over here. Everything is up for grabs, and the professors will only ask for bare minimum. It's up to you to push yourself to this level. So
Right.
over here, it's a very self-driven field, and I feel architecture, design are all passion-driven and vocational fields. So it's up to you, how much you're going to put in the end of it. And the perfect environment to foster all of this is, CEPT, because the amount of opportunities it gives you with summer and winter internships overseas, with its exchange programs, with the help the professors are dealing out to you on a daily basis, and the dedication you just see in passion, which is very rare in a lot of other colleges I have visited. And when you're surrounded by such passionate people, you do feel like matching your level to that.
When you say passion, you're talking about the passion of the students or the faculty or both?
I think my peers and the faculty, because everyone here, even our professors, they're not just professors at CEPT. They also have their own practices on the side. So they're giving us real-time exposure at the same time.
All right.
While
All right.
learning.
Interesting. Adriel, good morning. Thanks for joining in, Adriel.
Hey, good morning.
Hi. I see that you and Shriyansh are roommates.
Yeah, we are sitting in the same room right now.
All right. Good. So welcome to you as well. And Urvisha, welcome to you as well. Your camera is working now. So very interesting discussion we're having here about CEPT and why CEPT. All right. So Ananya said the peer group is fantastic. The faculty are fantastic. The environment that's created is outstanding. You have very passionate people creating these environments for you, and that's what makes CEPT what it is. Does anyone else have anything else to add to that? And we'll delve into this further, but if you have anything else to add to that, that would be great.
I think one thing that I don't know if it's already spoken about is about the studio selection, about how, I mean, first year is common for everyone. You get exposed to all the four fields that are offered over here, which is technology, urban design, architecture, and design, which are four, if you think about it, very different fields. But then in the first year itself, you get to learn about all of these. I mean, you're also forced. You don't have an option in the first year. You can't pick, oh, this is a technology module, I don't want to do it. It's not like that. You do all of these in the first year. And then second year onwards, you go your own separate ways. But over there, you have an option. Like there are different studios offered to you for your specific field, and you get into those studios only based on your portfolio which you made on the first year. So I think one thing that at least I have noticed compared to other colleges, CEPT pushes you to build your portfolio from the beginning itself and shows you how you will get a feel, you will get this studio if you want, only if your portfolio is good, only if you negotiate and if you're good enough for that studio, you'll get it. So you start building your portfolio from the beginning itself, and over there also, once you second year onwards, also you're still exposed to all these other fields because you can take electives in other fields. You can, me as an urban design student, I can also take architecture studios. She can take urban design studios or whatever, but of course there are certain numbers which you have to reach for urban design and all that. But at all times, you're still exposed to all these four fields and on your own building your own portfolio while keeping all of those in mind.
That's
So I think that is really nice.
That's a very, very interesting format. I don't know if that is there in many of the other schools.
Yeah, I mean, along like since every year there are exhibitions also for these studios, you really gain a lot of information. Like just looking at these exhibitions every sem end, and also that's really interesting.
Y'all were supposed to have an open day as well, right? One of these days.
Not sure about that, so.
Not sure about that. Okay, cool. Right. So good. I mean, very interesting aspect of this. So let's go into the next aspect so we got an understanding of your learning environment, right? If someone could talk about the overall infrastructure that's there, right? Because last year Dheeraj hosted us there, and we saw beautiful infrastructure. It was absolutely uncomparable, you know, and that's something that's very hard to replicate. So, could someone brief us about the infrastructure that you see, the labs that you'll have, and the environment that's created for y'all to, be in, right? So grow mentally. Right. So how does that infrastructure influence you? So can someone talk about the infrastructure? Maybe Urvisha.
Yes, sir. So as Denisa already explained us how our foundation year works, along with that, in each of the exercises that we do in the first year, there is external faculty that comes, or professors in this professional field, who talk about how to go about things, how about share their experiences as well. So in this way, we get an insight on the outside world while also. Am I audible?
Yes, now you are. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So as Denisa explained how our foundation year works, so along with that, along with our academics, we have these master classes where we have professionals from the architecture field or the design field or the urban design field who come and share their insights on how this field works, their professional experiences, and they share their knowledge with us along with our academics that we do.
You've gone mute. You've gone mute. Yeah.
The library is, I would say, it's a source for all of us to gain immense knowledge, and it has a lot of books. We have book reading programs, we have book review programs from the library itself. And along with that, I would say CEPT also has a lot of cultural events that go on every month or every 3 or 2 months. So along with that, I feel along with academics, there's a lot of other things that are going on in the college, and it's not just academics. You can focus on a lot of other things as well. If you're into literature, then the library is always open to you. And yes, I would say that is a great way to open yourself up to a lot of things, a lot of different.
And I'm glad you brought up the topic about the library, because Dheeraj, if you could give us a brief on the library, that's one of the best libraries I've ever seen in India, right? I've gone to a lot of libraries and a lot of campuses, and there's nothing that comes close to this. So Dheeraj, would you be able to give us a little background about the library?
So the library itself is very recent addition to the campus of the set, and it is designed very pretty well. I remember explaining you how the design of the whole library works, how is it sitting in middle of the campus and everything. So our library, so our library is very different from other libraries. Making an infrastructure is not a very big deal at this point of at this time, right? So any big private university can build more than this library. So the type of books that are kept in our library is very important. Our library has one CEPT repository in which we can see the old handmade drawings of big architects which are kept over there. Some of the drawings of B.V. Doshi are still there in the library. So that is what makes our library different from other libraries.
Yeah. And I remember last time you were telling me that the library project is such an outstanding project, but that was one of the it was an award-winning project to a
Right.
student who was in the final
Yes,
year,
yes.
right?
Yeah. So it was an open design sort of competition in which architects were asked to submit their drawings, and one of the students of CEPT only got awarded with a design, and his structure only got made.
Yep. Very interesting. And that's not an opportunity which many students would get, right? To
Right.
build a real project and get awarded on a real project and a project of such significance. So I thought that was great that, the opportunity was out there for everybody and including the students of CEPT, and, the students of CEPT won that. So that was very interesting. Um, Right. So we spoke about the environment. I mean, um, from my perspective, now what I realized is that, all of y'all have gone to probably a few schools, but that's all you know, right? So you've seen the infrastructure in your school and you think, wow, this is great. But when I compare it with schools all across the country, this is beyond great. Right? It's outstanding what you'll have there. The overall infrastructure, the facilities, the way each space is designed is just out of this world. And you'll have, and all those buildings I remember were designed by B.V. Doshi and a lot of the important designers of India, or architects of India, and really there's a lot of thought that's gone into each of these things, each of these aspects. Now, Urvisha spoke about the industry faculty, and of course, Denise also spoke about the industry interactions, right? So people coming across. So maybe Shriyansh, if you can tell us who are the kinds of people that have come there, like what industries have they come from, and what has happened, what have they spoken about, what has been very impactful for you?
Yes, sir. Before every module we have the master class, like Urvisha said, and it's hosted by uh, a professional from the field. So
Hold on,
once,
hold on. I think there's an interference. Um, all right, go on now.
yeah, once I think in our first semester, the who was it, the founder or the current chairman of Muji, the Japanese company, was invited to CEPT, and he spoke about a lot of their own design philosophy and how they work at Muji. And it was quite an important learning experience for us because that kind of knowledge is, as it is hard to get. And him in person coming to CEPT was quite a big deal. And the auditorium was quite crowded that day. A lot of people came to listen to what he had to say.
So,
Yeah.
and really something like that is really exclusive because, um, the way that, see, getting even exposed to how people from different countries think, right? Like, for example, people in Japan think very differently, and their approach to design is very different from what we are exposed to out here, right? So
That's right.
having that kind of an opportunity, I understand is absolutely outstanding. So that's something that's impacted you. Arva, would you be able to talk about one of maybe one of the industry interactions that was important to you?
Yeah, okay. So in CEPT, it's not just people from the design and architecture field that come to give us classes. So that is the master class. And for the first years at least, we get people from different industries. So we have this lecture series called Perspectives. So because usually what happens is that we as designers, we don't need a narrow-mindedness. So we need to know about all different things, what is happening. So there was this one person who had a poetry recital, and it was what he had written. Then there was this one case where I think Achal Malhotra, so she was a historian, so she got stories into the play. Then Prachi Bajania, she is a filmmaker, so she talked about how color is so important in cinema. And there were like so it's basically like from industry, it's more of an exchange of ideas, and I really like the interactive part of it. So we get to interact with them, we get to ask questions to them, so they share their insight of their field with us, and we get to know, and we get a new perspective on different things. So that is what I really enjoyed about the industry.
All right, all right. Very interesting. Film and poetry um and you know the the likes. This is very interesting. And you know, that's really what I like about it, because there's a transcendence, right? You're talking about not just the design aspect. It transcends into the arts as well as design, and really that makes a lot of difference to each one. Just one second. There are a few questions coming in. All right, so I'm going to ask these questions. So first from Vinayakini, who's asking, is foundation for year one only, or is it for 2 years, year one and year two? So if a student has to choose communication design, would they get to choose related studios from the second year or the third year? That's the question. So foundation, is it 1 year or 2 years?
The foundation is actually for 1 year, and you're allowed to be indecisive between communication and product design in your 5 years of CEPT.
Okay.
You are allowed. You have, I think, in your L2 studios, you are allotted a bunch of studios based on your preferences, and you can only take one studio per semester. So it'll be either a communication studio or a product studio. It's not exactly a communication specific course or a product specific course. It's based on the studios that you take.
Interesting. Okay, Adriel, if you can turn your cam on, that would be great so everyone can see you. All right, so you get to choose studios and you can choose the programs that you want. So so Vinayakini, I hope that's that answers your question. Right, so Sridhar Ranganathan is asking a question and says that I was told that there would be an exam at the end of year one, which would determine whether or not the student will be allowed to continue. Is that true? Or is it just, you know, building up your portfolio and then taking things further?
There is an exam at the end of like first semester and second semester in the first year, but it does you have weightages for every module and every exam, so it does have a higher weightage. But yeah, I mean, it's good if you pass it. I feel it's the same for every semester. I mean, you have to pass certain criteria. It's just that CFP's nature is that it's a non-GPA course. So you can make the most of exploring all the resources, etc., and finding out what works best for you. But yeah, we have a jury session and an exam at the end of the semester, which is in about a month now.
But I guess that's not really exclusive. I mean, every school has that, and every
Yes,
school,
exactly.
yeah. So
Plus, I mean,
I
we
would
just
like to add on. I'm so sorry. I'm interrupting, but this exam is just a recap of whatever we have studied. It's not anything that comes outside of the syllabus, or not at all a syllabus at all. As in, there is no structure to it, and it's just everything that we have learned through these 2 semesters. That is all the exam is, and I don't think it's anything to make us nervous at all.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was just gonna add, like we've done only one semester's exam till now because we're still in Sem 2. And it's not if you make it sound like if you fail you're not gonna pass and all, it's not that hectic. As in the exam on its own is exactly what it's everything we've learned throughout the semester.
So would you say that it's like the exam is evaluated and has a smaller weightage as compared to, are you evaluated throughout the semester?
We are evaluated throughout the semester, so we get grades as per module.
So there are different weightages for every module. So we covered at least like 10, I mean like 12 modules. In Sem 1 we covered 12 modules. Now like maybe
Around the same.
yeah.
All right, all right. So it's not as intensive as,
Everything has
not
a
like a
weight.
class
It's
10
just
or a
that
class 12
I won't
exam.
say not intensive. It's just that the pressure level is the same throughout. So by the time you get to the exam, it's like, oh, it's just an exam.
Okay.
All of these modules also have like almost an equal amount of weightage. So it's exactly what she said. The pressure level is not that high just because it's an exam in the end.
Okay, okay.
Because every submission, anyways, is like
So hectic. So.
All right, all right. So that's interesting. So there's another question from Vinayak, and he's saying, is there a dropout rate? All right. Do people say this is tough and this is challenging? So, I'm not going to continue with this. This is not what I expected. So the question goes on, Vinay's question goes on to say, is there faculty support if students are struggling? Maybe Leah, if you could take this question. Is there a high dropout rate?
So the course is very intensive. It can get quite hectic and stressful at times, and sometimes students aren't able to cope up with it, but a lot of them do decide, at least in CFP, to redo the year. So they attend a second year as well. So they understand that the course is a very good course and that they should continue with it. So they do decide to redo it. But speaking about the dropout rate, I couldn't tell you what exactly it is, but there are a few students who definitely redo a year in CFP.
Yeah, yeah. And CFP is Common Foundation Program, I'm assuming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And that's pretty much the case in all schools, right? I
Yeah.
wouldn't say that you can term it as a high dropout rate or low dropout rate. I think it's also people need to be aligned before they go there. They need to understand what they're getting into, and that helps soften the blow, right?
Yeah.
How would you say that maybe Adriel could take this question? Adriel, what was the change going from, say, class 10, 11, 12 into your undergraduate program, right? In that sense, how was it different?
Okay, so I think one major change that I would say is I was finally able to start looking at stuff that would mentally stimulate me rather than subjects like biology that I had to do because it was part of my curriculum and not stuff that, oh, this interests me, I'm going to do it. So I'd say how CEPT is built is they throw stuff at you with certain parametrics, but the faculty there lets you work around it in a certain way that benefits you.
Okay, okay. I was asking in terms of let's say hand holding, right? If people are struggling, this is a build up on Vinay's question. If
Yeah.
someone is struggling, is there support, faculty support, or do they need to do it on their own?
We do actually have these ETC classes. So in case a student does fail a module, they have these extra classes after each module that helps them like redo the whole module and get a better grade.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So in a sense, like let's say in class 10, 11, 12, if someone is struggling, there's a bit of hand holding there, and the faculty would try to explain things again and again. But when it comes to the approach at, in any of these professional schools, for example, do they give you like really detailed feedback, or do they just give you general feedback and get you to figure things out? How does that work?
That again depends on how you go and discuss with the faculty again. So if you ask the right questions, you're obviously going to get the right feedback.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Can anyone else now open to anyone? Would anyone talk about the difference between, the mindset that you had in, say, class 10, 11, 12, and how that's changed once you all have joined the undergraduate program here? Open question. So maybe let me pick Shriyansh for this. Yeah, your mindset. How has your mindset changed?
I'd say we have all had to get more serious when it came to CEPT, because obviously there was a lot more work, and the workload and pressure was much higher compared to school. So once we joined college, I think it took all of us a little bit to adjust to that pressure. And once we did get the hang of it, we changed our mindset entirely, and we convinced ourselves and we trained ourselves into just working for longer hours and accepting it for what it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I think the hours that you need to put in is another challenge, right? Because sometimes it could get a little overwhelming for people.
Yeah,
And
personally, that's one of the biggest challenges I did face. Like in the start, I would struggle to find the time for doing anything else. Like in school, you had time for other hobbies. Maybe you could step out your house, take a walk, or whatever it is. But after I came to step in the start, at least I did have issues finding time to do anything else.
yeah,
But
absolutely. And when we came back, Swati and I came back and we met our students at CEPT, and we met them at NID and the other schools as well. What we realized is that it does take time to settle down, right? It's a new school, new environment, new city, new food, new weather conditions, um, separation from parents, separation from pets, from siblings, right? Then you're in this absolutely new environment where you have, faculty, their approach is different, right? And that thought process. So for you to change that mindset from, say, a class 10, 12 mindset to this, how long did it kind of take you guys? Y'all can put up your hands. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. How long did it take you to really adjust? Or did it just happen?
If I can take this question, I was actually sick the whole of the first semester, just getting used to the work, the weather, how different things are in Ahmedabad from Bangalore. But then as you get used to it, you get into a routine. Second sem was a lot easier in that sense. I got used to the work ethic here and what was expected from us. So things got a lot easier. So I think if you stick with it, things do get better.
Yep. Yeah, and have you all had situations where you'll have called up your parents and said, "Oh, I'm not well," and then you want a doctor on campus and everybody freaks out? Have you all had situations like that?
I guess that's pretty much the case every week for most of us.
Okay. Not bad. Right. So we'll go down to taking a few more questions. Are there semester exchange programs for design students, or where you all can go and do one semester here, one semester in some other country, maybe?
I don't think it's
I would
included. Sorry, take it out.
Urvisha, you can go with that.
okay. All right. So from third year onwards, we have the chance to go for foreign exchange programs. So for that, you will have to have a certain amount of scores, credits to be able to go to a foreign exchange. And that happens only after your second year or the start of, I would say, third year, middle of third year. So for that, like I said, credits are important, and it happens in architecture and design. And from your fourth year onwards, we also have internship programs where students spend an entire semester doing internships wherever they choose to do. So along with that, in from this year onwards, they're also increasing the number of seats for the foreign exchange. Before it was less in B.Des. If I say, I think it was only 2 seats. But right now they're increasing the number of seats also in B.Des for foreign exchange, and even in architecture foreign exchange, we have more options to go to exchange schools.
Okay, okay. So what are the universities that y'all can have these exchange programs with? Maybe Ananya or Dheeraj, whoever. Do y'all know which universities that y'all have these exchange programs with?
So at the level of first year, we aren't made aware of all of these opportunities yet. We just know that it exists and it is obviously hard to get into. So I'd probably be able to answer this question better in the next year.
Okay, okay, okay. So yeah, that's right. There's a question from Sridhar who's saying, do they have, how are the hostel facilities, or are they good options, alternate options close by? And this is a tricky question because what we've realized is no one is happy with the hostels, and even if you're happy with the hostel, at some point of time it gets monotonous. The food gets monotonous. It tends to get monotonous, right? So it's a fluid question. Okay, some people go through it as it is, and then when you look back, it's the best part of your lives, right? But at this point of time, is it comfortable or is it convenient, or do they have do a lot of students stay on campus, or do students stay out of campus as well?
Okay, if I had to take that question over, none of the hostels have food like along with them over here. It's mostly the PGs, and I think most of us, since we spend most of our time on campus, we end up eating from the canteens on campus or ordering in. So I think food is sorted out that way, and hostels are really cheap and amazing to stay in. But during the summers, it becomes hell. That's the only demerit to living in hostels.
During the summer, it becomes
hell. It's like 43 degrees and everyone's sweating all over. It's not good.
This time Bangalore was as bad.
Oh no. So you take Bangalore, add 13 degrees to that, that's Ahmedabad.
Okay. Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a question from Smita Durgam who's saying, does CEPT have a good placement cell? Do y'all have placement cells? And maybe, again, open question.
So architecture as a course does not have placements anywhere. It's very dependent upon your internships and the opportunities you take on. So our course is divided into CFP, L2, and L3. L2 is the second and third year, and L3 is the fourth and fifth year. So it depends upon what you make of all these years, the faculty and the firms you are simultaneously working with as part of your internship, or just going to visit for gaining knowledge. And your portfolio and studio choices also depend upon the kind, because there's a lot of different kinds of architects now. So this all shapes through your studio choices, the people you intern with, and in the end, the ideal situation is the people you intern with to take you for a job.
Right. Denisa, what about for urban design? Because this is an interesting thing. It's very different from what people are familiar with, right? So is it the same for urban design?
It's the same. You get these internships. You just, again, you build your portfolio, and that's the only thing that can take you to another place.
Fantastic. All right.
Based
So that's
on your portfolio, yes.
okay. So that Smita, I hope that answers your question. Are they students who I'm not sure. So Mira's question is, what what is the tuition and hostel fees for NRI? So Meera, I'm not sure if any of these are NRI students. So they may not know this. This is something we may have to go on the website to figure out. All right. But Smita Adarsh has another question. What subjects are required in class 12 to pick urban design as a specialization? All right. So this is probably a question for Denisa. Do,
Yes,
do
sir.
do they require science subjects? That's physics, chemistry, mathematics, or or do they just take people from any background can apply?
Quite frankly don't remember, but I'm sure on the website you could. Yeah, I think you need science. You would need science because for architecture you need science as you to do science in 11th and 12th.
So you did your science.
Yes, I did science. So,
Okay. Okay.
but I'm sure in the website it clearly mentioned.
Yeah.
But I'm
So
so sorry. Like I don't want to give
no
a-
worries, no worries. So Smita, I think the best resource for this is to go onto the website and see what the eligibility criteria is, both for in urban design or interior design or architecture, which whatever programs they have, they would specify, the aspect. But I guess Denisa, you got in using your UC score, right?
No, sir. It was based on my NATA marks and board results.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. So not so when you submitted your NATA marks and your board percentage, so that's where you got a rank list. A rank
Yes.
list was generated, and based on that, you could choose.
Yes, it's
Urban.
the same as it's for architecture, except urban design was all India ranks. There weren't any reservations for Gujarat candidates.
All right, all right. That's cool. Okay. Um. Okay. Now, Vinay Kini's request is about the hostel facilities for female students. Do the hostels have a mess in them? You'll have a mess on campus in the hostel?
I'll take that one. So
Yeah.
I think over here, all of us, we are staying in PGs. So there is a girls' hostel. So there is one that is under construction. So that should be ready soon. But right now in the area around CEPT, there are a lot of PGs, and all the PGs have food included. And yeah, it is like hostel food, not
All right.
home food, but yeah, it's good.
All
So I
right.
would like to stress on the point that no one can live on campus. Everyone is living off campus.
So this is an interesting thing. So there's no hostels on campus. That's interesting. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Right, right. So Vinay, you'll have to look at the PGs or hostels off campus, right? Vardhan
But
is asking.
there are a lot of options though. There are endless amount of PGs on every like road you see over here around in and around college for girls at least. For guys, I'm not sure. But there are
All right.
PGs for guys also, yeah.
All right, all right. So so there's a question from Vardhan who's saying, so to choose between communication design or product design, all right, you just go by choosing your studio electives, not by, I want to do product design and then choose only the product design electives or communication design and do all of that, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, so from this year onwards, we were told that you can either choose if you want to do something, if you want to specialize later in masters for like automobiles or something, then you will choose all product studios. If you want to do complete communication, you can choose all communication studios, or you can take a mix of both studios. So it is totally up to you.
Okay,
What you want
okay.
to do.
So which brings me to the question, one of the questions by Prabhakaran R, who's saying, do you all who's asking, do you all have options for UI and UX design as well? Like, could you choose UI UX electives? Do they offer that?
Okay, yes, I think from this year onwards, like when we go into second year, there will be studios based on this.
Okay, okay. Okay. Right. So Nikhil Joshi, hostel fees is something you can get on on the website if they do have a hostel. If not, PGs, what's the average price of PGs there per person per month on, let's say, twin sharing or triple sharing, which includes food. Yeah.
So we get different levels of PG, obviously. So I think double sharing will fall in the category of 17,000 to just upwards till probably 25,000 per month. And this includes all facilities like, food, cleaning,
Laundry and all of that.
laundry is specific PG wise. So in ours, we are allowed to submit 8 articles every alternate day.
Okay.
But we have washing machines.
We have washing machines at the terrace, so we're free to use them as we wish.
All right. All right. Cool. Kanchan is asking, what's the cutoff for B.Arch last year? So, Kanchan, this is a question that's a little different. I think everyone who aspires to get into CEPT shares their board percentage and their NATA score. So from the applicants, everyone is given a rank based on these two parameters, and then they get in based on that rank. So there are how many seats for architecture in general? 80 or 120? 120. Not sure. Okay.
So it's 80 seats in general, and there's 40 for Gujarat also.
Okay. So Kanchan, there are 80 seats, 40 reserved for Gujarat domicile students, and the other 40 are open to students from all across India. So it does tend to get competitive. Tends to get very difficult to get through. Even whether you're from Gujarat or not from Gujarat, it still gets very competitive and very tough to get through. All right. But difficult to answer your question specifically. Right. Right. So Nutan Agarwal is asking about the CEPT B.Des course placement scenario. I think the B.Des program is this particular program of communication design or product design is just a couple of years old, right? It opened last year. Was it last year? Were you the first batch of this?
I think we are the first batch of communication design. So product has been there. Placement, I think, again, it's based on portfolio like architecture and B.U.D.
Okay. I think they had product design from a very different perspective, they used to call it products and systems design in the past. And that was also very closely related with the construction industry at that point of time, 3-4, when they started the product design program. But it's now evolved. It seems to have evolved into a much more wider, branch, where it's not limited to the construction industry, but now your options are a lot more. All right. Okay. So I think this has been a good question. Is there anything else that you'd like to? Can we see some of your projects? All right. Maybe Leah, if we could have a look at your projects, some projects that you've done, and if there's something that you'd like to talk about. And Dheeraj, probably if you can do it next after Leah.
Yeah, sure. Let me just share my screen 1 second. Yeah, I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, visible.
Yeah. So this is what we're currently working on. We're working on designing a game. It's a 5-week-long module, and in the end, we have to come up with some sort of board game that for which can pertain to 17 to 20-year-olds. So we're just beginning this module, and what we had to do the last week is create a prototype module in 1 day. And so everybody could choose whatever type of module they wanted to do. And it was based off a group. So we were working in groups of 3 and 4. So we come up with a rule book, we come up with components of the game and the logic of the game. So this game was based off a maze where you roll the dice and the dice decides which direction you move in. And it was a time problem. So essentially we had only a day to finish this. This was one of our modules. Another of our modules is, one second.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. One of our other modules, which is very helpful for architecture students, was documentation and representation. So we were all assigned a site. My site was Gandhi Ashram, the bookstore and the Khadi store in the Gandhi Ashram. And essentially what we had to do is we visited site every day. We start making rough line drawings and giving gauge dimensions to our line drawings. So what we're looking at here is a plan of the site. And based off of the gauge drawings, we start adding measured dimensions. So on site, we measure the dimensions, mark it in our drawings, and we come back to studio and start finalizing all of these drawings. So we start working on drafted drawings of all of this. And it takes about a week to do that. So we create plans, we create sections of the building. So all of these drawings have to include some sort of labeling, your scale, your north arrow. We work on wall sections. Sorry, this is inverted. We work on ceiling plans. So the reflected ceiling plan. Another module was a very interesting part of CEPT is we have an on-site module. So this year we went to Varanasi. The site might change next year. So it's a week-long module where we're on site for a week and then we come back for one more week and work on it. It was a group project and essentially we documented the different street sections and analyzed the different gullies in Varanasi. And we created elevations and sections of the street and we analyzed it based off of the widths of the street, how light interacted with the streets and the human interaction on the streets. Another module is joining elements where we're assigned some amount of material and we work in the workshop of CEPT to create essentially a cube. So we use different techniques to join elements and we follow. So in the beginning, we create iterations and drawings of how we would like our model to look. We go through various versions of this, getting it approved by our faculty. And then we start looking at the different components that could go into our model. And this is what the final booklet looked like. We have to make SketchUp modules. So in CEPT, they actually provide us with a lot of training with respect to softwares. So we have this series called tutorials where they teach you different softwares. So they run you through softwares like AutoCAD, InDesign, Photoshop. They teach you how to 3D print. This is our joining elements SketchUp model. If I look at the final module, this was our final joining elements model. So we've used wooden joinery, metal joinery, different joineries like that. And in the end, we have to come up with a cost estimation that, it kind of acquaints us with what we'll be doing in the following years and gives us a peek into what that looks like. This was a very interesting module where we had to go again on site. There is a lot of on-site work, especially in the second semester. We, my teammate and I chose to document the laris or the street vendors in this particular area. So in this module, essentially, we're mapping and we're representing all of that data on a map and an infographic. So we interviewed about 100 laris and street vendors, and we documented based off of different parameters, we documented what they did, what time they came at, and then we come back to studio and we create ways to display that, all of that data. So this was our map. showing where the lorries were located. And in our infographic, we showed the schedules of the vendors, the factors that affect their working and how they work. So where they store their lorries away, what was the gender of the owner of the lorry, and how they prepared their food. We situated the lorries and the owners of the lorries, so where they had come from, which state they're actually from, and where they live in Ahmedabad. And we also were trying to show how these lorries are located in the site, and how much space they occupy where they do stand. So this is just a glimpse of what we do. We have quite a few modules, and this was just 4 or 5 of them.
Interesting. Thanks for that, Leah. That was very insightful for us to understand, the kind of levels of projects that you're doing. Very, very interesting, very detailed, and nice. Shreyansh, Shreyansh, do you have any project that you'd like to showcase? If you have it ready,
Yeah, one of our modules this semester was imaginative drawing. I think that's more focused towards design students. And let me show you. Wait. This was the final outcome. So basically, the process behind this was we had to come up with a story of us describing a setting. It could be anything. It was completely up to us. And based on that, we had to, catch hold of certain attributes of our setting, where our what the setting is like and certain attributes. So for me, it was a dark forest, tall trees, and this skylight type of thing. So based on these attributes, we had to make a drawing. Most of us made a physical drawing. We had the freedom of making either a physical drawing or a digital render. So I went with this, and this was my final outcome for the module. Yeah.
This is amazing. Very nice. Very thought-provoking. Cool. Denisa, do you have anything that you'd like to showcase?
I will. You'll have to give me some time. I'll have to join from my device and let you know.
Sorry?
I'll have to join from my device and let you know.
Okay.
But I'd like to mention, if anybody, the CEPT portfolio website is open for everyone to see, any work that they want to in the specific field, or each and every student's work. So I think if the parents want to see that, that's also very helpful.
Okay.
But I will get back to you.
Okay. No, we are almost run out of time, so we need to wrap this conversation up. But is your portfolio online, or is it online? Is it something where you can send me a link and I can just share it right now?
I will share you a link.
Yeah, I'll share that link, and then you can talk us through it. All right. And I'm asking you because it's interesting. It would be interesting to see your portfolio from a Bachelor of Design point of view. All right. Or so Arwa, or maybe Denisa, if you could log in from your computer, we'll extend the time till you can log into your computer and maybe show that.
I'll try to do that. Meanwhile, someone else can show.
Yeah. Arwa, do you have something that you'd like to showcase?
Yeah, just a minute. I'll show my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was like the first module that we had, freehand drawing. So it started from lines and then it ended up with this assemblage of subtracted forms. And this is the observation drawings that we had. So in this, we explored different mediums, and some of them were outdoors. So this one, we went to Kakaria Lake, and I was focusing on the structures between the steps and the between the bench and the water. So everything on the steps. And these were just set up in the studio, and we had to draw out details. And it was basically a very free-flowing exercise. So it was aimed at us noticing tiny details in things. Okay, now this is the how things work module. So in this, my object was a balance, a two-pan balance. So I opened up the entire balance, and I've chosen the isometric view, and I've exploded it along two axes. And this module was the deciphering type. So this was all about typography, and so we took a font that already existed, and we studied the geometry of that font. And then we also kind of saw that what kind of brands use which kind of font. And we came up with certain observations, and then we chose different fonts for that kind of brand to see how it works and whether or not it fits in. Okay, and this is the technical drawing module. So this was, I think it was, so we drafted all of this, and these matchbox setup, we made models to understand and visualize it. Okay, and this is one of my favorite modules, color theory. So in this, like these are all pixels, and it is, and we hand painted it. So we had to pick up the color which was, the closest, or which was actually the exact color, and which had the maximum shade in that particular box. So we haven't mixed. If there were 5 colors in the box, we took up the one which took up the majority of the space. And we painted this. So this is 100 pixels, and we pixelated this photograph.
Nice.
And this is the ordering principles, where these are the Gestalt's principles, and then we used some of the rules of visual perception, like closure and proximity. And we had this is all stuck, and this is painted. Okay, and now this is the gauging sizes module. So here we sort of okay, so this is a street section. So for this module, it was both outdoor and indoor. So indoor spaces, we had to measure our room maybe, and it was all gauged. So to give us a basic idea of anthropometry, so how we use our like maybe a hand span or our feet width to find out to gauge approximate distances. And this one is like the deciphering styles. So we were all given either an architect, a designer, or an artist, and we had to decipher their style. So I was given architect Ludwig Mies van der Rohe, and so his style was it was very minimalistic, and he's the one who coined less is more. So this is the poster I designed for an exhibition of his works.
Nice. It's very good. Very good. Thanks for that, Arwa. It's very interesting to see how each of these projects is just broken down into and presented well. Very interesting. Denisa, would you be ready right now?
Yes, sir. I just have my SEM 1 portfolio on me right now.
That's great.
Share that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Is this visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, so this is just all of SEM 1 work. We have so this is also like end of the semester you upload a portfolio, which is 10 slides maximum. That's all you can do. So it starts with, this was the first module, which was freehand drawing, which, as Arwa said, was just you didn't get to use tools or erasers or whatever. This was all freehand. This was technical drawing, which this is the second module where you're only allowed to use tools. You're not allowed to do anything freehand. So this was the second module. These are sections and elevations of a matchbox, 3 matchbox composition that we have done. This was the third module, which was model making. So this was a Soma cube that I made. And then this is how things work. So this is an exploded view of a water sprinkler with all its parts and the material that is used.
Nice.
This is ordering principles with where you have to apply design knowledge and all the principles that I use. And this was also part of ordering principles. This is gauging sizes, which is basically you don't measure, you use your technical, like the way they say, you use your body, your hand measurements like these or pace or something to gauge dimensions, because on site you won't always have a measuring tape with you. So if you just want to gauge that, okay, this is probably 30 meters long, you would probably use your pace to measure. So we first measured what our personal pace would be, this or our palm, the distance between our index finger and our thumb or whatever. And you use these dimensions to gauge the, like maybe make as simple as making plans of the room you're in or the washrooms or objects around you. And then you write the actual dimensions. So it's interesting to see how close we were and how much it varied. So this was gauging sizes. And this is color theory. Also color theory. And this was deciphering style. So I had gotten Sabyasachi's style to decipher. So we had to make a mind map and a poster for the same. Yeah, so that was my SEM1 portfolio.
Awesome. I like this. The one where you selected the colors from the
Yes.
food. Yeah, amazing.
Thank you.
Okay. This brings us to the end of the session. We intended to wrap this up by 10:15, but the questions came in and they were good questions. So we've tried covering almost all the questions out here. For those of you who missed the start of this, y'all could always click on the same link and y'all could get access to this webinar again. And thank you to the entire panel who's been here. It's been super to have all of you here and interact with y'all. I'm just going to share my screen again. So Adriel, Denisa, Ananya, Urvisha, Dheeraj, Spurti Shiv couldn't make it today, but thanks to her for trying. We had Leah, Shriyansh, and Arwa as well. Thank you to all of y'all who've been here. It's been very, very special. It's always great for us to have all of you guys here. I'm going to do one thing. And for the audience, thank you for being very interactive as well. I'm going to stop the